You probably know that I'm very interested in Twilio. I made HAL 9000 using their software. They have another piece of software for building apps or chat boxes. It's called Twil. It's called Audio. Wait a minute, Studio. So I'm very intrigued with it. It's a drag and drop, visual programming language. So I decided to. I watched a bunch of videos on it, and there were some points about it which I thought I could do a better job explaining some of the concepts. So I started doing it, and found it very difficult to just make do diagrams and talk about. And I realized a good approach might be to create a flow chart and invite somebody to a Zoom session. In this case, my dear friend Mark Proctor, who lives in Great Neck, is in my synagogue. He's really a terrifically smart guy, very nice guy, also brilliant man, not a big talker. And so I said, Mark, I don't know what I wanted to do. I want to explain how Twilio Studio works. And he agreed to a 20-minute session after services on Friday night. So he called me up, and we did a Zoom together for 47 minutes. And I decided I wanted to make it into a little bit of a movie for the Mel Show. And there you are. So sit back and relax. Now, if you're not a computer programmer, you may not find that interesting. If you are a computer programmer, you might not find it that interesting either. But I love the way the interaction between Mel and Mark, and I wanted to have a record of it. And there you go. I hope you enjoy it. Hey, welcome, Mark. Nice to see you. So let me give you a little background on what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm doing a video on the Twilio product called Studio, okay? And what I want to do is I find that by interacting with another person, especially a smart person like yourself, who's done computing forever, knows a lot about software, but you don't know anything about the product, we'll be discussing it, and you'll be asking me questions, and it will help me make a better show, all right? Because you don't know anything about it. So I would love, it's going to be very interactive, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to put you on, I'm going to share my screen, okay? And you can, hopefully you can see everything. Now, do you see my screen?
I do.
Okay, good. So this is what we're going to do. Is I'm going to put these, on my screen now is an example of a Twilio, studio program. And but I don't want to do that first. First, I want to talk about the problem in general of using Twilio Audio to solve a classic problem, a customer service problem, which you probably know about. You either as a developer or you've been around it all your life. Before we get into Twilio and why I think it's important, here's a flow chart of a process, a customer service problem. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what happened in this example, and also I'm going to go through the example. I'm going to show the actual code I used. I wrote a Twilio Studio program to solve this flow chart problem, and then I'm going to show how it works on the on messaging. And then I'm going to show you a Twilio program, how I did it.
Okay.
And the idea is to dig deeper as we go along. It's an experiment, and I want to do it with a person who can ask me questions. Okay. And we're going to do some jumping around, we'll slow down. We'll spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll see how it works out. So I am recording it. All right. So let's look at this flow chart. It's a flow chart of a person, it's a generalized customer service problem. Somebody texts the word help me to a number, okay? And then the responder is So, what's your first name? And then the response to that goes back. Customer then gives the name. And then the next thing happens, the software says, describe your problem or enter the word done. All right. Now, then maybe the problem is described, they say done at the problem. And the interesting thing about this little project here is, it says, what is your first name? And actually, I'm left something out here, you see. I'm going to put the word in name. Because in a really good customer service, you capture the name in this screen, then the name appears in this screen. Please describe, like Mel, please describe your problem or enter done. And then when you get the problem, it says, oh, name, okay, I got it. You told me the problem, I will be following up. That's the generalized flow, okay? It isn't just like, in other words, you're gathering information along the way, and you are, at the very end, you maybe you go back and say, do you have another problem, right? So, and then at the very end, when the person says, I'm done, then it was a pleasure, nice to meet you, and repeats the name. That's the general flow. Any questions or comments yet?
The arrow is pointing down. So you say, hi, what is your first name?
Right.
And then maybe there would be a side arrow pointing to the response. So you have a question from you and a response. And then from the response, the arrow would go to problem, name. Okay, got it. Because I don't understand the split problem or done.
Good, we'll go into that again. But you hit something really important. When it has helped me, hi, what is your name? In a way, what this is really saying is, in one way, you're going back here. The customer has to put their name in, right? Right? You say, what is your name? Okay. Maybe I should insert a little.
Yeah, but you're not really going back.
Yeah, but wait. Go ahead. Tell me.
You're not really going back. You're going forward. The customer starts by saying, help me. You're not going to go back, and the customer is not going to say, help me again. That's why you're not going back.
Exactly, with the nail in the head. Okay. So, hi, what is your name? So in a way, it's going back in a way over here. But then when the response comes back, you don't want it, with the name, you don't want it to say, what's your name again? You want to go to this box. That's your point, right?
Correct.
All right. So we need a line. So the thing is that the dynamic is, and all these, like, let's say you're writing this program in Python, all right? What would be some of the problems you'd be facing on writing a Python program to capture this information?
Well, when you say
JavaScript, well, how would you, go ahead, talk to me. Yeah.
Well, when you say, what is your first name, you would use the input with the text, what is your first name?
Yeah.
And the program would be waiting for you to type something in.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever the program types in, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to validate the name like a real name, or do you just want to assume that whatever the person typed in is the name?
Assuming that is ever the guy puts it, you don't, for the time being, you don't have to validate it. Right.
Right. So what I'm saying is, with the boxes that says, what is your name? You don't want an arrow to point back to customer service problem. The arrow should point to the side, either the left or right, with a response box. And then the response box will have name equals whatever name was entered. And then from that box, it should point down to the next box, which says name, please describe your problem or enter done. So the arrows have to flow a certain way. This is not, the only time the arrow flows back up to the beginning is when the problem is done and you're starting over again, like a giant while loop or a giant for loop. Otherwise, you're not going to go back. The arrow should never point back to the very beginning, not until the new cycle begins.
Exactly. So in other words, what you're describing is, after the first message comes in, what is your first name? and so the problem of this is describing, how do you describe this problem? On the one hand, you need to go back and get another message from the customer, right? They're saying, what is your name? But when the message comes in, you don't want to go to this box. You want to go to that. You want to go to the next box, right?
Yes, but you don't. That's my. Yes, but you don't go back to the first box in the diagram. You need to branch off. You need to branch off to a separate dialog box, which is something that's okay. Let's use the term capturing the response.
Exactly. All right. So you're pointing out that this diagram is more complex than I've made it because of what's happening here. You want to go back and get more information from the customer, but when the message comes in, you want it to come over here. That's what we're driving at. Correct?
Correct. Because this is a simple flow chart type thing.
All right. So the flow chart, in a way, this I'm sorry to interrupt you. Well, so this flow chart is inadequate. It's an inadequate description of the solution, right? That's what you're driving at, right? Correct?
Well, I guess anything that's not adequate is inadequate from that perspective.
Yeah, right.
So,
But it oversimplifies the problem because when the message comes in, what we're talking about in a way is a state. We need a state diagram in a way, right? Because when the message comes, go ahead.
100% correct.
We need a state diagram.
Because you are talking about a state. The state is either the beginning or sometime in the middle. And where are you at? Well, we're not at the beginning anymore. We're at the point where we're accepting the response to someone's name, and we have to capture the name and do something with it. So yeah, we definitely talk about a state.
So you hit the nail on the head. I'm so glad you're on this call because it turns out that Twilio Studio, when you draw a flow chart with Twilio Studio, you actually create a state diagram, which is kind of cool. All right. Yeah. And before we go any further, I actually want to try running this this little guy here. I'm gonna run the. So this is the over here. This is the phone number. It's a text. I brought up iMessage on instead of using my phone. I'm going to use the iMac iMessage. It was same as testing. It's a text messaging. Are you familiar with iMessage on the iMac? You are, right? Okay. So
yeah, I'm familiar. I know. Yeah.
You know what it is. All right. So let me just bring it up over here. So my first message is going to be, I'll say, help me. Okay. And then the expectation, if I say help me, I should get this prompt and we'll see what happens. So I'll type in help me. Okay, wait a minute. Help me, I'll type in, okay. So I got it. Hi, what is your first name? Okay. So, all right. What is your first name? Now, our expectation is that when I put in my first name, where should it drop down? What should the next message be after I say, what is your first name? Looking at this diagram. What'd you say? If I type in what's my first name, if I type in Mel, or I'll type in Mark, okay? What should the next question be?
You type in Mark, hit return, and you say Mark, comma, how can I help you?
Please describe your problem. All right?
Right. That's fine, yeah.
So in other words, so now let's take a look at what's going to happen. Let's look at for the sake of argument, not the sake of argument, let's look at the Twilio program for a minute.
Right.
Now, it's already written, but I want to sort of see if we can help. So let's see. How can we do this? Now, you can see it's a really neat visual programming language. That's why I'm excited about it. Okay.
How do you draw this diagram? This is part of Twilio to this drawing program?
Yeah. This is actually used Twilio Studio to draw this diagram. We're gonna draw it maybe a little later. Okay.
This is
So
very nice. Yeah, I like this.
pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
So let's go and let's bring this. Hold on a second. All right, move this up a little bit. All right. Now close this. Move this up. Do this. All right. So now, here's the trigger. The first message comes in. This is the front door over here. Okay. And then if I click on this is the message comes in, and we're going to look at. I'm going to bring this out. This shows the request name module. Now, we want to do it. Maybe we want to do is actually. All right, request name. So it says we go request name and we look at the actual body. It says, "Hi, what is your first name?" That's in the body of the program. That box. In other words, you're programming one box at a time. Okay, what else can we get out of the box? That's all it says. What is your name? Okay. Make that a little bigger. Now look at the transition here. Then it says on, now what is this? Now look at this diagram. This is really cool. This is the part I really love.
What came first, Mel? The diagram or these these widgets that they're describing?
The diagram, you write the diagram yourself using these widgets. You do everything yourself. We're gonna draw one later. But I want to show you a widget, how the widgets are before, and then we're gonna go into making an actual program. We'll do it again. I might even erase it. So anyway, let's look at a widget, the contents of a widget. This particular widget, so the request named widget, right? It says if you get a reply, if reply. See, it says reply over here. Okay.
Yeah.
And it says if you get a reply to that, you're requesting the name, right? If you get a reply to the request for a name, you go to the next box. It says reply over here. Reply means where do you go next? What's the next state you're going to?
I got you.
The next state is how can I help? So it says if reply, how can I help? All right.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the next box, which we already did. And I remember we did that. We did that with the text, right?
Yep.
And it said, Mark, please describe the problem or text done to end our session. So let's go to the next widget and look at the contents of that. How can I help? We'll do that in a little bit. And here's the body of here's the contents of that widget. Well, first of all, it says, the text part says, please describe your problem or text. When it's done to end a session. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think this means over here? Widget request name inbound body. What do you think that's about?
Sounds like a Java thing, where you have a class hierarchy. The top of the class is this thing called widgets, and then something called request.
Now look at the actual message flow. It says, Mark, please describe your problem or text done to end our session. So then in the widget, you see, please describe your problem or text done to end our session. So what do you think I'm trying to get? What am I trying to capture here? Widget request dash name inbound body. What do you think what I'm doing here? What am I getting? I'm getting.
It's just like in Python, where it's just trying to capture the inbound response from the user.
I'm getting that. That's how I get the name Mark.
Right. You got to capture it.
I'm capturing it. So the thing is, I'm capturing the name Mark And let's go back. So I'm capturing Mark. The question is, how did I get widget request name inbound? So this is basically saying, look, see request name here, request name inbound, request name. So Mark came in as a name in this guy. So I'm picking up the variable input that came in on this box, the request.
Correct.
So now, if I wanted a different variable, I don't know. That's the idea behind that. Now let's dig a little deeper. As far as the transit, anything here we can sort of squeeze out? Look at the transition. The transition is.
Okay, so yeah, if no reply, then what?
Oh, good. I don't have anything there. Very good. Let's take it a little further. So this is a beautiful way of describing a problem. Let's say I got no reply. Let's get rid of this for a second. Let's move this over here for a second. Let's do this. Let's hide this for a second. So, say request name. I didn't get a reply. Now delivery fails. It goes back and but let's say I wanted to make it go back and try again, right? I think I can do that. I'm just drawing a line. Did I do it? No. If no reply, I guess you just say if there's no reply, it doesn't go further. That's the way it works. That's the way it's set up right now. If delivery, it's a good question.
If there's no reply, it goes back in the loop, basically.
It doesn't do anything. It just waits. Nothing happens. That's a good question. Let's revisit it. I want to revisit that question. It's a good question. So in other words, this allows you to handle timeouts, I guess, and no reply. This seems to say
there must be some sort of a timeout feature because the arrow points out back into the loop. What's the name?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. It's a good question. I don't know what the delivery fails. I don't know what no reply does. All I know is on a reply, this is saying on reply, go to the next box.
Right. And
then let's go down a little further. Let's examine the next box, how I can help again. This tells you details about this box. The details are in this, the widget explanation. That's the widget name. How can I help? And then the widget request name inbound body, that came from a variable. When the message comes in to the box, it's kept somewhere. Now, let's see.
Think of it this way. Where it says widget.name.inbound.body.
Yeah.
Think of it as a class object. Widget is it's a very old expression for the body of an object. Think of it as an object that gets passed from one area of the program to the other. And in this case, the only thing that it contains in the body is the name, like Mark or whomever.
Right.
So that's what's in the body. But the actual object contains something. And in this case, the something is Mark, which is the name.
Look, we're getting like a debugging error somehow. That's interesting, right? Let's see what that's saying. An online debugger. Look at that. I never saw this before. Go to debugger.
It doesn't mean there's an error. I mean, a debugger doesn't always mean there's an error. It just means you can step through the program.
Well, looks like we're getting a retrieval. It looks like maybe we're getting a retrieval error. What's it say over here? Retrieval error. Wait, we got some kind of error on URL. Okay, let's go back.
Go back. The error was there. Go back.
Why does it have to do with this program? This is a Python.
Internal server error.
I don't know why I'm getting this because I'm not even.
Scroll further down. Can you go further down?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says the server encountered an internal error unable to complete your request. Either the server's overloaded or something. Scroll to the right, please.
To the right? Okay.
Yeah, over there. Either the server's overloaded or there's an error in the application. Well, obviously one or the other.
Well, I'm not going to the server on that one. It's a fun. I can't figure that one out. Let's go back to the studio program. We back there? Okay. All right. So now, let me try something else. Oh, so now let's go back to the. I'll hide this, and then we'll go down. You have a few more minutes. Is okay? You good with this? Okay. All right.
Okay.
So let's go down to the next box. Oh, wait a minute. We did how we can help. Let's just go a little bit over here.
Right. So yeah, you leave that area of the program. It goes to the how can I help part.
Right.
Okay.
So now, go ahead.
It knows what your name is. So it says, how can I help you, Mark, or whomever?
Right. So now, that's how I said, no, so it knows your name from the prior box. Now, and the thing is, then it says, please describe your problem. You see?
Yeah.
Please describe your problem. So now it sends a message back to, what reply means, reply with this message. Please describe your problem. Reply means reply with this message, and then go to the next state and wait for a response. So the response goes to this state, right? You follow? In other words,
Okay.
go ahead.
How big can the response be? How many characters?
Well, it can be any amount of characters. Let's look at this, by the way. Again, this box, how can I help? How can I help? So he gets the name from the prior box, describe your problem, and then let's the transition. When the reply comes in, it says split on problem, we're done. So that's how you tell it to go to the next box.
Yeah.
Now, what was your question?
Well, how many characters can it be? I mean, I don't think it can be unlimited.
Yeah, you can get it. There's no limit. I don't think there's any limit. I find that's a good question though. So anyway, so then let's look at the next. Wait a minute. Let's go back to our message file. Describe your problem. Let's say I'll say that my fridge doesn't work. All right. Okay. What do you want? What my fridge is on the fritz.
It's a very vague problem. It could be a million reasons why it doesn't work.
Okay, I know. I'll say this is really a vague. All right. Sorry to be vague. This is an example of. I'm trying. So the point of this little demo is for people to understand variables being passed back and forth, the concept of a state diagram, how you build the flow. It's like an introduction to the studio. That's the purpose of this. Why I'm doing this.
Are you familiar with a multi-thread program? I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's another thing, by the way, I want to get to. Let me just hold that thought. Multi-thread. Hold on. Good. I want to go back to that in a minute. Okay. I'm sorry to be vague. Okay. Now, before I click that in, Mark. So where's it? So when I click this response, what box will it go to?
I'm sorry. When you click the response.
When I click in, this is Mark. Please describe your problem. Or text done to end our session. I'm typing my fridge is on the fritz. Sorry to be vague. Okay.
Let me see. So, okay, this is interesting. It goes to split on problem. So it's got to take whatever you typed in.
Yeah.
which is the output of the body from how can I help, and it does something with it as the input to split on problem. I don't know what it does, but it
But you
does
hit it
something.
on the head. So I think you did. So when you reply, when you reply with a problem over here, right?
Yeah.
Then what's the next state after the what's the next state gonna be?
The next state is split on problem,
Right.
right?
We're going from this state to this state. So now split on problem, we look at it, the next state is called split on problem or done, okay? And we'll look at that a little bit. And what does that, what does that say? It says, what's it capturing? What is it doing here? There's some logic. It's saying, it's taking, how can I help what do you think it's doing here? It's taking, you want to guess?
The widget, what we call the widget, known as how can I help?
Right.
The one where is the one where it's coming from.
Right.
Okay.
And comparing, now over here, it's a little, let me just make it a little bigger here.
It's a little confusing because, I mean, to me, it's a little confusing because you're calling it the inbound body, even though it's the outbound from how can I help. It's inbound to the split on problem.
Yes.
Okay. But I guess from that perspective, the widget being passed is called how can I help. So you're looking at the inbound body, even though it's outbound from there, it's still inbound to you. I'm just thinking in my mind how this is working. You got a what it seems to be doing is every time you create a new widget, every time you create a new state or whatever you want to call these things, it creates a brand new thread in the program, and then it passes the object created in the previous thread to the next thread. In a multi-threaded program, that's how it works. You got a bunch of different flows of control running. One of them passes data to the next one, which passes data to the next one, kind of like a pipeline, but they're all running simultaneously. So so each thread is capable of doing its own little thing. In this case, we're up to the part where it's going to get the inbound message from how can I help, and it's going to do something. It's called split on problem. So I presume it's going to split it up somehow or parse it somehow.
We're absolutely right. You see, that's the whole point of, by the way, of using Studio. You don't concern yourself with what you just said, with the threads, the logic, because the logic, the state logic is controlled by this reply. Reply means when I get a reply to the message that when I get a reply to the message I sent over here, which was describe your problem, it goes to the next state and then it captures the message that comes back and goes into this state. And you don't have to program that. That's all done when you create this little reply over here. That's the really neat thing about audio Studio. And the thing is, I find it confusing though. Okay.
Now I understand. Okay.
Now you understand, right? Because I was thrown for a loop. What is actually happening here? But what they did with Studio is they relieve you of threads and of state thinking. All you got to do is think about where should the next state be on a reply when he gets a reply. So basically, what's happening here for the transition is you're gonna use how can I help. You're looking at as you said, how can I help inbound body? It's the inbound message that he got. And what are you doing here? What I did was there's a condition here someplace, so hopefully. What am I doing here? I'm checking for what equal to what?
Done.
Right. So I know if the guy says done up here, then if I'm done, then I go to done, right? It was so nice to meet you. And over here, then let me hit in let's go back to the message, see what happens here, the message flow. So let's type, my fritz is on the fritz. Sorry to be vague. and I got a response. Ah, Mark, okay, I got it. You told me my fridge is on the fritz. I'll be following up as soon as possible. Text me, continue to tell me about another problem you're having or
Yeah,
complete.
I kind of figured it out before you did that. That what you were going to do is you're going to take the whole message and encapsulate it into, okay, this is what this is what you want to do. So you're not really splitting it at all. You're taking the whole message. If the message is equal to done, so you have a condition equal, this arrow is gonna go to where? To the it was nice to meet you.
It's
To
right. Let's look at it. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. You nailed it. So let me just move it. So now,
This is okay. Go ahead.
let me just show you the body of the code here. So the code, here's the code. It says, let me make it a little plus here. Widget request name inbound body. It came from the, you can see, let me just try and get this thing here.
I get the idea. It names them all the same. They call it inbound
Right.
because it's coming into this one, but the actual widget name is taken from the outbound of the previous one. It's kind of
Exactly.
neat.
Yeah, kind of neat, right?
It's actually a pretty good idea. It makes it very clear, actually. At first, I was confused. Now I understand. It's very clear the way you're explaining it. You're really doing a good job.
Thank you. So how can I help? That's the name. That's the name of this box. How can I help? Oh, that's another. I'm looking at the solution box. Oh yeah. So now this is saying. Let's look at this here. How do we explain this here? Okay, we're in the solution box, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Is that right? Solution. All right. So that's a solution box. Okay. Right. So this says I'm getting the guy's name again, right? Which is I had something interesting. You see that? I'm getting the name from the inbound body widget that was earlier, right? And I'm getting the name over here, right? And then I'm getting the you told me widget. I'm getting information from another. I'm getting information from two different widgets, right? You follow that? The
Yeah.
name, right? The name came from the other.
How does
Go ahead.
yeah, the question I have is, it's pretty clever. How does it have access to both of those names?
Ah,
I don't know how, because the arrows don't point from both of them. The arrows point from one of them.
that's
But the
because,
in
right. It's because the Twilio Studio remembers all the variables that came before it. Okay, so that's under the hood. I don't know how he's doing it with threads, whatever, but you can that this box has access to variables in the prior box. Okay, now
interesting.
let's say you want now. I want to just finish this thing up, and then we'll go back and we'll play with a little more with it. Let me hide this baby. So then, similarly, how do we finish this thing here? Okay.
Well, I just want to warn you, your 20 minutes have turned into 40 minutes so far.
We're having so much fun, man. We won't. Let me just finish up then. Okay. So, line this up a little bit. Make it a little bigger. So, split on problem, as you just said, by the way, I was just testing on the word done. I didn't test on the problem, right? You picked up on that right away. So,
correct.
when the guy, let me just make it a little bigger. You see, if value equals to done, you see that little test over there? You see, it's over probably in this box too.
Yeah.
So this is saying split on problem, right? And we go over here. I'm testing on widget how I can. Let's look over here on the transition. Go there. Transition. I'm looking at a variable. Somewhere, let's see. If value equal to done, See, in other words, I'm checking on the value done here. You see, okay. So this, let me just hide this thing here. Is this clear or not? So basically, I'm checking on. There's a. Let me just get away from this for a second. Hide. I know. I'm looking at the wrong box. There it is. So let's look at this. So in other words, I check on to see if it's done. And the last box here, I don't do anything. There's no reply.
Understood. Yeah.
This is what they call what they call it, fire and forget or something. What's that expression?
Well, this is just from here, you just go to exit.
Yeah, well, really, actually, it's not quite exit because he just sends the message. It's kind of cool. Here's another thing I like about this, by the way. He sends the message. He's not waiting for a reply. That's my point. He's not waiting for a reply. They go fire and forget. That's the expression in computing.
Okay.
Fire and forget. Yeah. And we look at this, and as the widget name is done, and there's no so I get the widget request name inbound. I get the guy's name again. It was so nice to meet you. And to help, you can help me at any time to report another problem. So let's see if that works. Which I really think is really cool too, by the way. All right. So let's just hide this for a second. Let's go back to the. So now it's over, right? Thank you. But then, if I can start again. I can say, so help me.
Oh, so you have to say help me for it to start again.
Right. Right. So the point I'm trying to make is it doesn't go away. That's another thing, by the way. It isn't like it's over. I don't know how the session hangs around, but that's another cool thing. That I love the way that you can. What I would love about it, what I love about Studio, is that you have this graphic representation of the process. Once you sort of understand the concept of the reply. All right. So what else do I want to cover? I think we covered just about everything. I had a little problem explaining this one. So anyway, what do you think?
I like it. I don't know what to tell you. I like it a lot, actually. I'd like to try and build something myself, actually. It's actually nice.
How about doing that another time? Maybe when you have free time, we'll try and build something. I race this guy and start from scratch. And I really would love to do that because you're one of the most talented programmers I know and vast experience in computing. And I'd love to have you try and give it an evaluation.
So this product, is it part of a package you have to pay for, subscription basis? How does it work?
It's actually, you can get this free. It's a good question, by the way. By the way, here's another thing that's really cool about this. By the way, it's free. You can try it. I think you get a developer account for no charge. You may have to buy a phone number. By the way, here's something I want to talk about. I'm so glad you have 2 more minutes, okay?
Sure.
So, in this example, I don't have, you see in the flow chart, I had it going to a Java at the very end, in my flow chart over here, it's going to like a JavaScript code, and either on your website or their website. Now here's the idea behind this. Is another cool thing, by the way. They call this serverless code. So that's a misnomer, really. What it really means is that this code lives on the Twilio website. Okay, so that means, and they take care of all the maintenance. You even have version control. You can go back and make change. You can go back to a prior version, and Twilio is in charge of the, making sure everything works. It's up 24 hours. They handle a stress environment. So all the things you have to do as a developer, figuring out IP, what would you call them again? What do you call them again? Threads, right?
Yeah.
It's all completely under the hood. And now, as far as trying it out, you go with Twilio.com, you get a free account, and for a few bucks, you can experiment with either you can write this studio. Really,
Okay.
they have a couple of videos, but I really wanted to. The reason I did this video is because I was really troubled with the way the thing actually worked. The reply, it's kind of subtle, when we
Well,
and also
now I get it. I actually know exactly how it works now. I mean,
how would you describe it?
I I mean, if I was writing the program, I just don't understand how. You know what it is. I'm going to make a statement. I don't understand how the box all the way down at the bottom knows about the widget that was way up at the top
Ah,
when it doesn't give you that impression. But having said that, I'm not a Java programmer, and I suppose that, like you said, there's some way of having these things defined globally, so everybody can have access to it.
let me just try something here. Let me do something here. Let's say I want to create a new condition on
Yeah.
split a problem. Okay. Let's say I
Yeah.
don't know. Let's say I'm gonna create another condition. This is a good review for me. So let's do the plus here, new condition. Okay. And I'll say equal to a value. Let's say put a value. I'll call it name. Let's say it's name again. Name. Then it's over here. It says search. I'm trying to figure out how the hell did I do this? What was this do? Split on. Split on. What does this do? Flow control. I'm trying to figure out how I actually got the. Oh, I don't remember how I did that. That's in that. We'll do that next time. What we'll do is we'll take it apart and I'll show you how you get the variables. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't plan on going this far, by the way, but we did great. And
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you want to put this on YouTube, you're going to have to make it shorter. This is, you got to compress it into about 20 minutes. People aren't going to want to sit through an hour of this.
you know what? I'm not changing anything. This is what I wanted to do. This is completely spontaneous, ad-libbing, and I want to show people how how the thought process of a person doesn't know anything about Twilio, nothing about Studio, how you understood what was going on. So I want to preserve this. Maybe I'll edit it down a little bit, but I want between now and our next session, I'm going to review how to pass the variables, okay, and show you how it works.
Okay. Good
So
idea.
Mark, thank you so much for your help, man. You're a lovely fellow. I really appreciate it. Okay. Anything else you want to say?
No, I appreciate your time. I learned a lot, and I'm sure you'd make a very good spokesman for Twilio. You are you are their number one marketing person right now, I think.
They call me an evangelist. This is completely voluntary. I just love their product. All right. Okay. So have a night. Shabbat shalom, my friend.
Thanks. Talk to you soon, man.
Goodbye. Okay. Wow, that's great. Well,
It's excellent.
that was good. See you soon. Let me see. How do I end this?
All right. I'm leaving. Bye-bye.
No problem. Okay. Let's see. Let's stop recording. Stop recording.